Hi guys, today I will be showing you how to complete the square. I will also show you a trick formula to skip the whole process and just get to the end formula. So number one, why do we even complete the square? So if you look at the first equation at the top here, this one, you don't get much information from it. You don't know where the vertex is, you don't know where the x-intercepts are, so you don't get a lot by just looking at it. But this type of equation here, the second one, this one, we actually can find out based on how it appears, just its basic formula way, we can actually see where the vertex, where the minimum of the parabola or the maximum of the parabola is. And it's at the point, P for point, H, this H, and this K, where this is the X, and this is the Y. So if you were, let me give you an equation that we can try to work with, and I'll show you how to do it. So if we do like the equation like we had there, y equals 3x squared plus 30x plus 55. Now, how do we get it into that form, into that way? So what we'll do first is we'll actually just start by bracketing these two. Next, we'll take out the leading coefficient from the x squared term, which is 3. So we take out the 3, which means we're factoring it. So 3x squared divided by 3 is just x squared, and 30x divided by 3 is just 10. So we'll have here 10x, and we can just close and rewrite it, plus 55. From here, what we'll have to do is we'll have to take this term, the second term, and divide it by 2, so 10x divided by 2 is 5. So the 10x, we're just working with a 10 here, not with the x. So we have the 5, and then what we do with that 5 is we then square it to give us 25. So we take that 25 and we plug it in. So 3x squared plus 10x plus 25. This is where the 25 goes. And here, plus 55. Then our next step is we take this term and multiply it by the last term, which here is the last term inside the brackets, which is the 25. So 3 times 25 is 75. And we take that 75 and we subtract it from this term right over here. This is what we subtracted from, giving us y equals 3x squared plus 10x plus 25, and then 55 minus 75 is minus 20. Now we have to factor this part. So all you need to do is take what we had here, the 5. The 5 was the half. So we're going to take that in, and it's going to become, we just plug it in simply. Y equals 3. We have the x. You take the 5, bring it down, and it's because it's positive. Here we have a plus 10x. We do plus 5. Bring a square, and then minus 20. That is how you bring it into vertex form from standard form. Now let me give you another example. If we have, now this example will require fractions, so we will do it together, but feel free to pause the video and do it yourself. So it's 4x squared minus 30x minus 17. So we can't see where the vertex is, and we want to know where the vertex is. The question is asking you, what is the vertex of this parabola? So you need to bring it to vertex form. So from here we'll put the brackets around. We'll go y equals, we'll take out the 4. So it's x squared. And we have minus 30 divided by 4, which gives us minus 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So we write down minus 7.5x. Minus 17. Now, from here, we'll take that minus 7.5, and we divide it by 2. Minus 7.5 divided by 2 is minus 3.75. And then we take that minus 3.75 and we square it. So 3.75 minus 3.75 squared. Well, the minus 3.75 squared gives us roughly 14, but we want to bring this in a nice fraction form. So this minus 7.5 divided by 2 is actually 15 divided by 4. Minus 15 divided by 4. Then if we want to square it, it gives us 225 over 16. Now we take that 225 over 16, we bring it in. Plus 225 over 16 minus 17. And from here, we can just bring it in. We will multiply these two terms and then subtract from this term. So 4x squared minus 7.5x plus 225 over 16 minus 17 minus 4 times 225 over 16. Now feel free to do this in your calculator. It will much help better. It will give you more precise numbers. So 4 times 225 is 900 divided by 16 minus 17 minus 4 times 225 divided by 16 gives you minus 73.25. So we'll write it out. Y equals 4x squared minus 7.5x plus 225 over 16 minus 73.25. And from here, we'll factor this last part using our trick. Y equals 4x. Now we have to use the half of 7.5, which we got was 15 over 4 squared minus 73.25. Now I'll do another question and then I'll show you that trick that speeds up the process, or you just jump to the final answer. Now the next question would be minus y equals minus 6x squared minus 24x plus 1. So then we bracket the first two terms. We take out the leading coefficient, so minus 6 is taken out. Minus 6x squared divided by minus 6 is just x squared. And minus 24 divided by minus 6 is just plus 4x. Right, and we'll close up that bracket and we'll finish up. And then we take the half, so the half of 4 is 2, and then 2 squared equals 4. So y equals minus 6 x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 1. Now we have another one. Now notice how this one is going to be a minus minus. It's going to give you a positive at the end. So I'll show you in a moment. Minus 6x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 1. And then we have the minus. And then we have 4 from here and the minus 6 multiplied by minus 6 here. So this whole term here, 1 minus 4 times minus 6 gives you 1 plus 24, which is just 125. It just equals 25. So it equals y equals minus 6 x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 25. From here, we can do that thing I showed you earlier where you just take the half of the middle term and you just leave that in the brackets with the squares. Minus 6x plus 2, because the 2 is the half, squared plus 25. And that is your final answer to that question. Now if we move on now to the trick. So if we have an equation like this, this is your standard form equation. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Right, where you have a is a coefficient, b is coefficient, c is constant. Now to become your final answer in vertex form, you can just plug it in like this. Y equals a on the outside, x plus b divided by 2a squared plus c minus b squared over 4a. So that is your final equation. Now if I give you an example, if I gave you something like this, y equals 5x squared plus 36x plus 2, you can just plug it in really easy, right? So we take that, this 5 is the a. So we have we have the 5 here, then we bring in the x. The x is just the variable. We don't have a number for the x. And then plus b, so the b is the 36 here, divided by 2a. So 36 divided by 2, the 5 is the a. It gives us 3.6. So x plus 3.6. Remember, we have the squared. And then plus c, so we have the c, which is just the 2, right? The corresponding 2 here. And then minus b squared. B squared is 36 squared over 4 times a, which is the 5. Now if we just simplify it at the end, y equals 5 x plus 3.6 squared, and then we have 2 minus 36 squared divided by 20, which gives you minus 62.8. And that's how you really just jump from one point to the other without actually having to solve in that long direction. You can just use this formula here. Maybe you can memorize it. I think I found it very helpful and it's very beneficial. So now what do we do with these numbers? Now that we got this into vertex form, what do we do with the number? So let's say we got this is our final vertex, as in vertex form. So y equals 7 x plus 1 squared minus 3. So it is one, when we have the p, right, this is the point for the vertex, this is the h, this is the k, right? We have this. This is our minimum or maximum point. But how do we know if it's a minimum point or a maximum point? So if this number, which corresponds to the a in the formula, if the a is bigger than 0, then it is a minimum point. If the a is smaller than 0, then it is a maximum point. Okay, so now if we take this point, the plus 1 here, but remember that the formula is ax minus h squared plus k, right? The minus here, so if we were to get a plus 1, right, this is the same thing as here, the squared. That means that it was actually x minus 1, right? And the minus makes it a plus, right? So our actual vertex for the x is minus 1, right? And if we would have, x minus 1 squared, that actually is x minus plus 1, because minus minus plus minus plus a positive is just, again, negative. So what we actually got here is that the vertex here is at the plus 1. And then whatever we have here left over, whether it be positive or negative, that's its value. So if we were to have this thing up here, y equals 7x plus 1 squared minus 3, the vertex, and it is a minimum point because the a is larger than 0, it's a 7, it's not a negative number. The a, so then we can take this as a plus 1, so that means it's actually a minus 1, and we have a minus 3 on that side. That is the point. Now, if there is a 0, let's say we have something like this. Y equals, this is just a final point, and then we'll wrap up. 3x plus 1 squared. Now, okay, we have the minus 1. Or what if we just give it, and then if we have nothing at the back here though. This is empty. So our vertex, we know it opens up because we have a minimum point, which is actually a minimum point, which just means a minimum point. And then, so the vertex, symbolized by v, is minus 1. But what do we got here? We don't have anything. Well, it's actually an invisible plus 0. So the point here is just a 0. And that is how you interpret the vertex form. Now, I hope this video was helpful and you will succeed in math using this formula and the trick that I showed you, which here you can see again to copy. I found it very helpful and very quick. If you're running on off time, you can just use this equation if you memorize it. And I really hope that you consider subscribing and liking and sharing the content. So I appreciate it and have a good night.